I guess if there was going to be a TLDR to this video, it's I want you to do the thing that you have always wanted to do. I'm going to talk today about where I've been this past week. I kind of gave some updates. I didn't want to tell people that I was going to be away from the family. We had a minor family emergency pop up, and that actually took me out to New Orleans. And I didn't let anybody know, in case you're in New Orleans, that I was going to be there. I don't like to necessarily tell people when I'm going to be away from my family for any extended period of time. And hopefully you guys can respect that. But I'm going to get you guys caught up in this video as to what's happened this week. And hopefully we can actually get some positive things out of it. I know I saw a couple things in my future that I want to make sure that I'm addressing today. And I'm going to talk to you guys about all of it in hopes that you guys as well can join me kind of in this journey specifically. While I will be sharing some personal details about what all happened this week, note that there's going to be some high level summaries of some of the people in play because there's just no way that you can get all the history and have all the context to everything that's been going on and ultimately what led up to this week. So again, the TLDR is I want you, whatever it is that's on your bucket list or list or whatever, to do that. I want whatever you need, whatever push I can give you to tell you that it's absolutely critical. And once you start doing things, and even if it's small things, they can actually build up to lead to bigger things. And that's kind of a core part of my frustration. And that's something that's part of my personality that anybody who's been a part of this channel for any period of time probably have seen kind of pop up from time to time. I also want to be very clear. I don't want anybody to ever compare themselves to me. I think that's recipe for automatically either giving yourself an excuse or setting yourself up to feel less than in that regards. And this does happen. I see comments about this. I want to address that actually at the start of this video as well. I want you to only compare yourself to you. I want, honestly, my wish and my prayer, my hope for everybody that's a part of this channel and this journey at Ginger Prime, to hear the aspect that, like, I want you to be the best version of you in everything you do, not like be how do I compare to Brian or some other content creator, because I could get into that trap, right? I could look and say, hey, I don't have 1 million subscribers, and all of a sudden start looking at all these things and essentially set myself up, for feeling like a failure, when really in reality, like, this should be about, something you're passionate about, something you're joyful about, something you love to do. And while I really want to make a couple of videos for you guys, especially about what's, coming down the pipeline, there's a lot of really cool things, moving in the gaming space. I can't wait to talk about with you guys. I feel like this is the video that I need to make, especially after this week. And so if you guys follow me on Twitter, note, I tweet out, I'm very frustrated and very upset. So let's talk about why and what we can learn from all that. So a few pieces of context. My dad, he unfortunately over the last, it feels like a week, it feels like it happened pretty suddenly, has to have both of his hips replaced. And this is causing him, a lot of mobility issues, a lot of pain. And, he's rehabbing and he's doing the work. I couldn't be prouder of him. But also there's a feeling like, man, I want to be there for him. And so that's essentially kind of the first part of this. The reason why I had to step away from the desk, the office, and go help is I wanted to make sure that he was safe and protected, because we had to head out to New Orleans, and it's not a easy drive. And so I was able to help out. We were able to tag team driving, and so it actually made the trip much easier and less eventful. My fear is always, especially with mobility, it locks up, it falls and hits its head or something. All of a sudden, something that's unfortunate becomes a tragedy inadvertently. So that was kind of a key aspect. So I was able to attend and help my dad on this trip. The reason we had to head out to New Orleans, we have family out there. If you guys don't know, got heavily Italian, family, and it's, maybe I'll talk about that. Some jokes. I came up with a lot of jokes. Me and my dad were able to laugh through a lot of like what's going on. And I think humor is a good tool, but fortunately his Uncle Joe, my great uncle, he fell and he had to be put into a nursing home. And I'm not going to go into each and every bit of detail. Just note that when it comes down to something like that, and it comes down to how do you pay for end of life care, how do you deal with that functionally, like as a human being, and the depression and the frustration and all that sets in. Basically, he was a couple of days away from getting kicked out of the nursing home. My dad's already supplied them with some finances to help, but he also is retired and also on a limited budget. So there really isn't any kind of money. So how do we manage this, this problem? And obviously lots of, frustration and fear and drama, because it's not just, my dad, my Uncle Joe's got family in New Orleans. And while out there, they're worried, they don't know what's going on. And it just gets, and if anybody's been in these situations before, it is emotional. It can be emotionally draining. It can be emotionally frustrating. You could spend a lot of time wishing that you made changes in the past, but the reality is here and today. So part of that is obviously hearing this. And the reason why I began with I want you to do something is I've heard my uncle talk about wanting to write a book for a long time. One of the interesting things, he's got a lot of interesting stories, and he was a writer, like he wrote for newspapers and things like that as his career. So he has the capability, but he's talked about writing this book because he was Elvis's driver in World War II. And I think that's interesting. And he's tried to tell the story, but he gets excited about it and he starts talking about how he would direct it as a movie. And ultimately, I've just heard very bits and pieces. And so we keep telling him to write it down. And we've been telling him that for a very, very long time. And here we are. And it's just, there's this utter frustration that I get. And this is, again, not necessarily a good thing about my personality, but it's just do it, just do it. And that's why I wanted just to tell you to do it, because here he is, he's unable to walk now. And maybe if he puts in the work, he'd be able to. So there's some things that I'm like, I want to infuse you with the will and the anger and the frustration and the fear and help you get better. But that's not within my power and control. And so there's always, I'm grappling with the, understanding I can only control me and I can only control how I react to things. And so I all in all, I'm just, my dad kept saying, wow, you're so patient. It's I'm just in here. I'm just praying for these people. I'm just hoping for the best and, encouraging, trying to encourage. And sometimes I always wonder if being positive and telling, encouraging words is setting them up for failure, setting them up to not succeed. And, in that regard, it's I got the admiration that I was looking for. Oh yeah, you should do that. Oh, that feels good. And then you don't ever, kind of pull the trigger. For me this year, I'm going to talk about introspective, right? In this regards, this year I've lost 35 pounds. I'm nowhere near done with my weight loss journey. I can still shake and jiggle and whatnot. And I don't know if you still see it, if I'm still jiggling. It's slowing down. I'm getting better. I've committed to, I want to do another 35 this year, making 2022 70 pounds down from where I was in the 300s, which is, embarrassing to say. Then next year I want to do the next 35 and then essentially evaluate from where I'm at. So ultimately I want to get 95, 100 pounds lost and then see where I'm at, because I've also built up muscle. So I don't know if I'm supposed to be back down to my, college weight of 180. I was a baseball player. I played, sports and things like that. I have an athletic build, but also very, I carry the keg, got the gut. And so that's one thing. I've also started stand-up comedy. I'm a very driven person. That's why I don't want you to compare you to me, but I wish I could just give you whatever it is to get the thing you want done. The other side of it is that, for me, when I look at, kind of with the future, multiple stages, right? I'm seeing my dad with his hip issues, and chances are that's probably my future. There's a genetic component to it, but there's also what can I do today to mitigate, to help overall? Because I want to make sure that I'm taking care of myself. Weight loss is one of the factors in this regards. My dad's actually lost a lot of weight and has been able to maintain it off, and I'm so absolutely proud of his effort. But here he is, right? That's not going to be fun. I can't, imagine, just having to deal with that on a day-to-day basis yet. But for me, I'm committing to stretching in the morning and the evenings, right? Even with Uncle Joe and his mobility issues, it seems so, so simple of an idea. And so for me, I can't have them impact, their past, but I can impact my present today and make changes. So I've been doing lots of stretching. I think I've already been doing that as part of my exercises, but I'm just ultimately doubling committing to making sure I'm doing stretching. I'm getting mobility. I'm getting movement. I have a very sedentary job. And I think that's essentially like how I can look at what I can be doing today. And I want to pass that information on to you. One of the things of in terms of cost, if you guys aren't aware of this, this is also what I want to make you aware of so that you can start to think and prepare and plan. So you're not going to be put in one of these situations, or if you've got elderly family that, maybe there's things you can do today to help, them out. But like the place he's at is like 160 a day, which roughly translates to 5,000 a month, which roughly translates, like when you start thinking about it, you're going to need to have some either form of passive income, or you need to have some form of end of life, care, as part of nursing home. And then if you think at home, it's even more expensive. And there's also risks and things to be, concerned with. So you need to it's not just go buy a simple plan. You got to go look into your options. So for him, unfortunately, he has to cash out his life insurance policies so that he can pay the nursing home, so he can get the care he needs. And there's definitely options, and I'm before like Medicaid can kick in which then that could apply a lien on his house, which ultimately his assets could basically, depending on like his, these last stages of life, could evaporate. And thus, one of the things that, especially as a part of, and this is a little, I'm not going to get into it in this video, but they're obvious, like being with family, like you hear these stories, things that you never heard before, and truths get revealed. And there's a lot of generational trauma that exists as a part of this. And I know I'm being particularly vague. I don't want to share why, because these aren't beautiful stories. There's a lot of like betrayal, a lot of hurt that happened. And for me, I don't know. The best, in a weird way, the best thing that happened to me growing up is that when we lost absolutely everything and were destitute when I was a teenager, it really helped me have a good view of what really matters in the world. And so I don't really have this massive connection to things, and that hasn't been tested since that point. Like at that point, like I just feel like, stuff is stuff, and people are the thing that are irreplaceable. And, so going into that, like, I don't have this, giant, view of that, but he had like their view, like, especially, and maybe this is an older generational thing, maybe this is the right way to think about it, but that inheritance is this big, important thing. And to have to deliver news to somebody that there is the great opportunity, like there's not really an inheritance anymore, and that he will be using that up. And there's all these other things that, and this is, again, things that have been building up, like, Katrina really hit them pretty hard, hit the house. And, not saying that, he did everything right, because he didn't really fix up the house. He did get in some insurance money, and I don't think he reinvested that in the house. And so outside the house looks fine, inside it looks pretty bad. So it's not necessarily even sellable without investment, which he doesn't have really income anymore. So it really is just this bad situation overall. And for me, like, the positive side is that, we were there, we're spending time with him. We're doing what we can. We're helping to try and figure out how he can stay in, because he doesn't have the support system outside to take care of him. And it's just a hard situation. And so obviously, like, choices were made, and, positive things will come out of those choices. At least he's able to continue to get care. And who knows, maybe, like, maybe he will get motivated and he will work hard and he'll build up his strength. And so he could walking, and he's not paralyzed. He's got to rehab. He's got to take care of himself. And that isn't what has been happening. And more than that, like, I would love it if he wrote. I would love it if he did this thing he's been talking about doing. Because really, in reality, there is a ticking clock, and we don't know when that clock is going to buzz for any of us. And so, like, this whole week, it's just been, and it's, they're like me, like, what do I need to be focusing on? What do I need to be doing? And then, in terms of that energy that I can kind of give you guys, the reason why I haven't been here this week, what I've been kind of, going through, with respect to all parties involved, but hopefully a message that, gets you motivated to do the thing that you've been holding off on doing, the thing that you want to do, or at least want to try. So you don't sit here and you're not looking at, life in 20 or 30 or 60 or 80 or 90, however long that is, and going, dadgummit. So, just keep, if you're religious, keep my family in your thoughts and prayers. If you're not, I guess thoughts count as well. So that works too. It's been tough, and I'm glad I was able to do that. You know, my wife's super supportive, and you know, just helping take care of the kids while I was able to help take care of my dad. And I think the best thing that could happen happened in that regards, and just sucks. You know, it just sucks. This is kind of a different kind of video. I just want to sit down and give you guys my thoughts on it, and on the thoughts on this week, and that way I can put it behind me. I can move on, and and then I can shift into, you know, what I want to do, what I want to make. So there's some real, I think, positive things, at least in my life, and actionable things that I can take advantage of. For me, obviously, continue to lose weight, continue to work on my flexibility. That's a health and just a mobility thing that I have within my control, right? That's within my power. And then essentially, like, you know, obviously, you know, I keeping you guys up to date. Like, you know, the stand-up comedy is going well. In fact, this Monday, before I had to run out all this, I won the best comic award at the last stand-up night I did. And so I'm very excited. I've been really absolutely adoring that. And that's a thing that's something that I'm like, yeah, I'm doing that. I'm not stopping myself from, you know, doing the things that I want. It's coaching the kids with soccer. I absolutely am going to do that again. Like I just want, it's just easy. It's easy to talk about doing things. It's really hard to do things, with the exception that when you actually start doing things, I think there's a lubricant in a way that, you know, it's, people build up this mind, you know. Julie says perfection is the enemy of the good. I've heard Josh say perfection is the enemy of the done. You know, it's just get unstuck. Whatever is holding you back or blocking you or whatever, just apply, you know, a little bit of that grease lubricant to it, and it's just going to get easier. And you don't have to make the, you know, the first thing doesn't have to be the epic. It just is whatever it is. It literally could be a shower. You know, boom, I'm going to take a shower today, or boom, I'm going to write one page of something, you know, and then the next day I'm going to do another page of something, you know, whatever it is, whatever your pursuits are. I want you to do them. And I really, really want you to do them, you know, because we don't know what we got. Thanks for your time. Yeah. I love you guys. Thank you. Hopefully you have a great day and or weekend. And I'm sure the next thing you'll see from me is pretty positive. So anyway, take care.